This is the do-it-yourself guide to business buying. Today we're talking about signing an NDA. Welcome, business buyers. In this video on signing an NDA, I want to answer common questions people have about NDAs. That's the approach we're going to take. First, a disclaimer. We aren't lawyers, so this isn't legal advice. If you have a specific NDA legal issue, do it right, call a lawyer. Now, an NDA is basically a confidentiality agreement. It protects the seller from leaks of sensitive information that could hurt their business. What I'm going to do is look at common questions on NDAs. We'll go through a lightning round, starting with number one, do I have to sign the NDA? And the answer is most sellers and all brokers do require a signed NDA before sharing financial information with a potential buyer. So in answer to the question, do I have to sign the NDA? It's yes, if you want to get financial information from the seller. Should my lawyer read the NDA before I sign it? Well, that's a judgment call, but it is prudent, yes, to have your lawyer read it. But in practice, I find that most people don't bother. That answer does change if I'm buying a competitor. It turns into definitely yes, never sign a competitor NDA without first checking with your lawyer. Are all NDAs the same? No, they're not. It's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. Some are much more aggressive than others. So always read the NDA before signing it. Some people don't send it to their lawyer, but they don't read it either. That's a mistake. Who are the legal parties to an NDA agreement? We have disclosing and recipient parties. Disclosing is the seller, recipient, of course, is the buyer. Does the buyer list everyone who will have access to confidential information? Sometimes there's a general statement included. You should look for it. It says something like Company ABC and its employees, agents, and representatives will have access to the confidential information. This is important because we want to be able to share information with our advisors. Who provides the NDA? Most of the time it's the seller, but it's not unheard of for a buyer to provide it. Is it better for the buyer to proceed with no NDA or to supply their own? Well, here's the issue. The recipient party, i.e. the buyer, can still owe disclosing party, the seller, a duty of confidence, even in the absence of an NDA. So for that reason, it's probably better to have an NDA that clearly outlines confidentiality than proceeding with no NDA at all. So have your own NDA agreement ready to go if needed. What items are typically excluded from confidentiality? Well, we put in things like where laws or regulations mandate disclosure, we're not bound by confidentiality, or when the information is publicly known, or when it's information that the recipient already knows before it was shared by the seller. Fourth, information that's independently developed by the buyer, that's also going to be carved out. Those are common carve-outs. Do you have an obligation to return confidential information? Typically, yes, you do. And that can be an issue when we're talking about online backups. And so usually there's language in there that specifically addresses how we're going to deal with these backups because they're not always easy to destroy. Number 11, is confidential information protected forever? No, it's not. Make sure the NDA has sunset language that stipulates the end date of confidentiality. Does super sensitive information get special treatment? Yes, often it does. You will see that a second more restrictive NDA can be nested into the main NDA to specifically address sensitive information. You don't see it very often, but I've seen it a couple times. Is the NDA a common source of problems in deal making? No, it really isn't. That's one of the reasons why this is a short video, but it should still be treated with respect and consideration. It serves an important function. Read the NDA. Can you name a common mistake people make with NDAs? Yeah, not reading the NDA and or ignoring its provisions if they do read it. NDA breaches are a needless headache and they can easily be avoided. So make sure you read that document. That concludes our NDA summary. This is the do-it-yourself guide to business buying, and today we've been talking about signing an NDA. Remember, we always want to learn and grow as we go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.